Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
Half-assed morning show.
They are in an alternate reality than ours. They are in that rock and roll rock reality.
They surround themselves with these professional dickheads.
And I'm not even really sure if they're aware, you know?
I don't think they're aware of how much they suck.
93X rocks.
Ashley had to dump this on me. Okay. The grossest but most adorable, I disagree with that part, couple habits. And we probably all know a couple or two who are they're just too comfortable. They're too comfortable. In my opinion, you still got to keep some of what every human does. Bodily functions and such. Sure, we all do it. You still got to keep that away. That still has to be a private thing.
For me, I mean, you know, people...
For Christ's sake.
Whatever makes you happy in your relationship, fine.
No, I go against that. Don't give me that whatever makes you happy in your relationship crap.
I keep my eye on my own bobber, as Ashley taught me once, that phrase. And so I...
Yeah, she's one to talk.
That's true.
She's got her eye on everybody's bobber.
She taught me that phrase, but yeah, she doesn't live by it. But I believe it's fine to have a little bit of mystery in your marriage.
Yes, leave some mystery.
That's how I like to do it.
I don't need to know how you take a dump.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, like, even sometimes my wife, her, I don't know if I'd call it dirty talk, but kind of is too clinical. And I had to say, the other day, by the other day, I mean many years ago, you got to work on that a little bit. It kind of kills it.
Whose dirty talk was this?
Like my wife, sometimes it'll be too clinical, like, too scientific.
She says penis and vagina?
Something like that.
That's not the way you dirty talk. No. You use the words that you see in the magazines.
Yeah,
on the videos. You don't say vaginal area and anyway.
There's something I wish I could, I don't think I could say it without getting in trouble, but yeah, sometimes it's just such a mood killer. It's crazy.
So you had to tell her, you had to say, look, I mean, you're not teaching a health class. Throw a little vulgarity into this.
She can, but yeah, there's sometimes it kills everything.
She didn't get it at first. That's fine. You got to start somewhere. All right. Here are these gross, but some would say adorable couple habits. This stuff, it turns my stomach. Starting with pimple popping sessions, absolutely out of the question, no.
My wife used to assault me with that, where she'd sneak up and just go for it. I requested that she stops.
No, why?
Some people love it. Ashley, aren't you someone that loves it?
Yeah.
Yes, you love doing it or receiving or...
Doing it. No, I don't want somebody to do it to me.
God.
I'm self-conscious about anything like that, so no, stay away from me.
It's terrible and it's wrong.
Going back real quick to the bull semen.
Yeah.
Jenna Tulls, Jesus said, wait, you guys are getting energy drinks in your cans of bull semen? No, you got it the opposite way, man. It's the complete opposite way.
You thought there was bull semen in your energy drink.
Yeah, no, it's opposite.
Yeah. Using each other's deodorant. Okay, it's not gross. I suppose it is sort of gross, armpit juice getting on each other. I don't know.
I did that this morning.
That one doesn't really, that could have been left off this article because so much of the rest of it is terrible.
I always wanted to try Secret back in the day. Remember the commercials, strong enough for a man but made for a woman? That kind of thing?
That's what Dana uses. That's why I call him bitch pits in my phone.
Oh.
We had a listener text in and call him that.
I forgot. He said he uses women's deodorant because it's, don't tell me, less abrasive on his skin or something like that?
Yep.
More? Okay. That could have been left out of this. It doesn't belong with the others. because some of these other gross habits that couples have that some would call adorable, doing sniff tests on your partner, sniffing their pits and whatnot to see if they're, yuck.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely done that. Like, hey, do I smell weird?
And then you ask your significant other to smell under your arm?
Yeah.
Are you cool with an answer that is unflattering?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, why can't
I want
you
to know the truth.
What's your face busy doing? You can't put your own face into your armpit.
Because I might not be able to, because I've been around it, I might not be able to.
You're nose
smell
blind.
It. Yeah.
That's what they call that.
Burping and farting competitions.
That's a big no.
Competition.
That's a huge
competitions, yeah.
So far, boys, I'm 0-100 against the wife.
I can't.
She's a real champ.
I can't seem to get a win against the wife. I used to dominate you boys back in our college days, but ever since I married this gal, I can't win one farting competition.
Oh.
The bathroom door's always open. Oh, we're totally comfortable with each other. We leave the bathroom door open.
I never shut the door.
Gross.
Not that often when I pee.
I close it, don't matter what's going on in there.
It's actually, we have fun with that because, like yesterday, he was downstairs doing laundry and he came upstairs to put it away, and he walks past the bathroom and I don't even have the light on and I'm just in there peeing. And he goes, "Oh, look at that!" So he likes it, I think.
Well, eating off of each other's fingers.
Yeah, I don't really like
she's
doing
got
that.
a little cake on her finger, and boom, I'm going to have some of that. Gross. Wiping each other's noses. You're not my child. You're my significant other. I'm not wiping your nose.
Yeah, unless I'm on my deathbed, then yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
Right. If you're unable to move, then maybe I'll wipe your damn nose.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever get that comfortable with any individual.
No. Here are the rest that aren't so brutally offensive and disgusting. Someone eating off your plate. Well, maybe not someone. We're specifically talking about your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife kind of a thing.
That's not gross.
You bit into the sandwich. You don't want the rest of it. She finishes it. I've done that before, but I
wouldn't.
I've been pretty hungry. I'll tell you that. I've been pretty hungry.
I wouldn't use her utensils. I don't think.
Oh yeah,
that would kind of gross me out.
That's not right. That's not mentioned in here, but that's all. That should be in here instead of the deodorant thing. Yeah, using someone else's fork.
That's so funny. I don't even think about that when I do it.
Yeah. Stealing their socks or wearing their socks. I don't get why that's in here.
Well, because it's even if they're dirty, so you would take their socks off of their feet. This one really grosses me out.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah, I'm not putting on your dirty socks.
No.
Well,
who does that?
That's so gross.
I'm trying to think of a situation where I would need to have that happen.
Well, actually, this came up at Dana's wedding. I was wearing heels, and I hate being the person that takes their heels off to dance, but my gosh, my feet killed. And so I did, and my fiance offered me his socks. And I was like, no.
Oh, he did. I'm sorry, I missed that the first time around. Yeah, and Josh, good question. Give me a situation where I'm going to need to remove my wife's socks and put them on my feet. Maybe if we just lived through a plane crash or something and we're stranded inside the fuselage or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard anybody say, I got these emergency socks just in case.
Face licking and weird kisses are also mentioned in this article about the grossest but most adorable couple habits. Face licking and weird kisses.
Like Spider-Man kisses, butterfly kisses.
Oh, I don't know. What's a Spider-Man kiss?
Upside down kiss.
Oh, that kind from the movie?
Yep.
Okay.
Butterfly kisses? What's that?
With your eyelashes.
Oh, I've never done that.
Have you seen that? I've seen that before.
No, that sounds like something you'd do if you were a fourth grader.
Well, I was going to mention, I've seen it, a mom do that to her little kid just to be funny.
If there's face licking and weird kisses going on, we're having sex at that time, okay? Baby talk and weird voices that you use with each other. I don't know that. I don't play that game.
You haven't done that.
Cleaning up, wiping the food off each other's faces.
Don't do
you've
that.
got a little whipped cream there on the side. Let me take care. Again, that's something that your mother does when you're a child. You don't do that to other grown people.
Yeah, usually that's after I've told him 3 times. No, it's right there. It's right there. I'll just get it. Gosh.
With your bare hand?
Yeah, I don't care.
Ah! What if you get some of their saliva on your hand? Ooh, saliva.
Oh, yeah. My wife will wipe dog boogers off the dogs with just her bare hand.
Oh, yeah, same here.
And then 10 minutes later, she'll be touching your face.
Yeah, now I'll put on gloves, a whole hazmat suit. Got to get a couple of Kleenexes to take those out. I can't just touch them like that.
Couples should keep their hands to themselves.
I usually just wipe their eye boogers into their fur. So then I don't see where it ends up.
Stop it with the eye boogers.
That's kind of what my wife does.
Yeah. But if it stays on my hand, I start to freak out. It grosses me out.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Inside the opening 45 seconds. What a goal! Jack McGlynn with that cannon of a left foot.
Never miss a game.
What a start for the United States.
Shot for distance. What a goal!
Never miss a moment.
Exquisite from the San Diegan. Can he finish? Yes, he can! Yeah!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hey, wait a minute. You two look kind of familiar. Ain't you them kids that have been whacking off in my tool shed?
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You ever get thrown out of a concert or a ball game?
No, I've been thrown out of a bar once, and I'm still very embarrassed by it, but I've never been thrown out of nothing like that.
Concert, ball game, Smashly, Dana?
No, not the top of my head.
Nope.
Surprisingly. I feel like I should have a story for this.
I don't think I've ever been thrown out of a ball game.
The majority of the concerts that I have attended have been in honor of this place, I guess, because of this place. So I try to behave.
Right.
Because I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, is that the girl from the morning show?
Of course. Anyone in our listening audience, you ever been thrown out of a concert or a ball game? 651-989-9393. Text us. What did you do? How'd you get thrown out of the concert? How'd you get thrown out of the ball game? I even remember, Ashley, in the early days of your career here, we had one of our silly boat cruises scheduled, and we're all filing onto the boat. I don't remember if this was a summertime deal like we have around Independence Day or the fall gimmick that we do in September. But you were pretty new, and we had some incidents around here where people were misbehaving at station events. And it started a conversation amongst the 4 or 5 of us about how we should always be watching our behavior. At least, everyone wants to party, and that's fine. But don't go too crazy at these station events because we are representing the station. And that message must have really set in for you because, again, you had just started and we're boarding the boat for one of our boat parties, and you didn't see that I was standing there, but you had 3, 4 of your friends with you, and you turned to your friends right before you walked onto the boat. I watched you turn to your friends, and you said, if any of you embarrass me on this friggin' boat, I'll kill you. And then you boarded the boat with a big smile on your face. Hi, everybody. You got into character.
I
right?
still give that speech, and sadly, even though I gave that speech for one of our boat cruises, somebody did not listen to me whatsoever. And on the way home from that boat cruise, I lectured him like I was a mom lecturing my 5-year-old. I was like, I am disappointed.
Yes.
in the
I'm
way
not
you
mad.
acted.
I'm disappointed.
Oh, I've had one of those conversations with a friend, too. It's frustrating.
Everyone gets a little wild now and again. You just can't go too mental because, for God's sake. So text us, 651-989-9393, if you've ever been thrown out of a concert or a ball game. What the hell did you do? I was asked to leave. Josh, I'm embarrassed by this. I was asked to leave a Cinderella concert years ago because I was caught recording the show.
I'm kind of surprised back then especially. What did you bring in, like a giant tape recorder?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't back then like the 80s. It was back then like the late 90s. It was embarrassing, but also I was a little pissed. Before the show, for the radio station, I went with the DAT recorder. Do those things still exist, Josh?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody fully uses them, but they still have them.
Years ago, it was like a big, heavy, fat-ass Walkman, and a microphone would connect to it, and a crazy-looking little tape would go in there, and you could record audio, and it sounded pretty good, and we used them a lot back in the early days on location, interviewing a ball player or a rock star. Maybe you remember the story of my disastrous attempted interview with Black Sabbath, where I fell down and dropped the recording machine and it broke into a million pieces. That was a DAT recorder. So I brought this to the Cinderella concert because before the show, I had a chance to talk to Tom Kiefer and Fred Coury from Cinderella. Right, Josh? Mm-hmm. Interviewed them, got some liners, what do they call them, drops, all that radio nonsense. And so I had this recorder on me during their show at a bowling alley. Keep that in mind. And yes, at the open of the show, I took the DAT recorder out and I hit record and I just had the microphone kind of in my hand. I wasn't going to use this for any nefarious reasons. I was going to use it for myself. I just wanted to, I'm a massive Cinderella fan, and I just thought, hey, tomorrow morning when I get to work, it'd be kind of cool to hear the show. And up walks this manager character. I don't remember if he represented the band or the bowling alley, but he walks up to me. We had just met an hour prior or whatever when I interviewed the band members, and he walks up and says, hey, man, you're out. And I said, I even kind of looked behind me, like he was talking to somebody else. I said, what do you mean I'm out? Can't record the show. And I said, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just was recording a couple of songs. So tomorrow morning when I get to work, I can. He goes, well, you got to go right now or I'll get the cops.
Jesus.
And I said, don't you remember? He goes, you got to go. And I said, dude, I'm not going to play this on the air. I'm not going to. And he refused to have a conversation, and I was told to leave, and I left.
That's infuriating.
I felt like a complete jackass over the whole thing.
Just listen to me.
The majority of the live music I watch now was recorded by somebody's phone at a concert. So I see those on YouTube all the time.
So now that I think of it, has that rule just been completely thrown out of the works from live concerts?
Well, some artists will say you can't bring your phone in, right? Or if we see a phone, we're going to kick you out. But I think that's not super common.
No, I just know of a few bands that do it. You got to lock your phone up in one of those cases. I know comedians like Dave Chappelle insist upon it because they don't want, his material to get leaked out for people who haven't seen his new hour or whatever he does at this point.
That was so dumb. I felt dumb. I thought the guy was being dumb as well. Come on. I mean, I think I even offered. I said, here, you can take this from me right now, and I'll come get it from you at the end of the show, just to show you that I'm not trying to be some kind of goofy music pirater character. I wanted to hear what the opening song sounded like tomorrow. He didn't want to talk about it.
Also, it was a show at a bowling alley.
I mentioned that too as well.
Exactly.
Dana.
I
I did say you're aware that your band is playing it, and I love Cinderella. I mean, I would almost never say anything negative, but I said, this is a show at a bowling alley with 75 people. You realize that? I had to get at least one dick comment.
This person says the Tool had laminated plaques in front of every seat warning you not to record or you get thrown out of the X. That's the only band I could think of where I've heard they don't allow it. I was at a show a couple weeks back where they requested people not film with their cell phones. But Tool's the only band I've heard where they say, we will legitimately remove you from the facility. And, yeah, comedians, you hear that a lot with comedians.
All right, we asked the crowd, you ever been thrown out of a ball game or a damn concert, and what did you do? Now, Pap Swilling Forklift Jesus doesn't give us specifics here, but he says, what's worse than getting kicked out of a Twins game at the bottom of the second inning? He says, I'll tell you, getting kicked out of a Twins game in the bottom of the second inning when you're there for the first time with your in-laws.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Great first impression.
What did you do? You got to tell us what you did.
There's quite a few people. It's underage drinking has been the number one answer so far as to why people have been kicked out of several places, sporting events, restaurants, concerts.
You know what? I should have thought of that. Yeah, the underage drinking. You got to watch that now.
I had a buddy who got kicked out of a St. Cloud State hockey game. He was a freshman, living in the dorms, and he had a 20-ounce Coca-Cola, and he poured out half of it, filled the rest up with rum, and thought, hey, I'll just sneak this in and act like I bought it at the concession stand. So he's thinking he's all sly. He's beat the system for one night, and security guard comes up to him. He goes, hey, where did you get that? And he goes, oh, I bought it right down there at the concession stand. He goes, this is a Pepsi-only campus. There's no way you bought this in this arena. And he goes, oh. And he was like, come with me.
That's something most people wouldn't consider.
No, exactly.
He ran into the one security guy who knew what cola company had a contract with the...
I wouldn't be surprised if they told them. You know, people have tried that before.
You know, Dana, sometimes I feel sorry for the younger people. You're about, 13, 14 years younger than me?
Yeah.
When I was living up at St. Cloud State, it was absolutely impossible to be thrown out of a hockey game. It was... Short of killing somebody, you could not get thrown out of that hockey arena.
All right, so a few more bands, according to the Brother and Sisterhood, that don't let you bring a phone. Ghost. Okay, we went to Ghost and Iron Maiden night. I don't remember that. Maybe because Iron Maiden called the shot since they were headlining.
Sure, Ghost. I
Jack
remember.
White was one. Oh, shoot, I'm missing a couple here. Danzig. Yeah, Tool's the only one I've actually heard. Maybe it's becoming more and more common.
Kicked cancer's ass Jesus got kicked out of the old Metrodome for smoking a cigarette at the Monster Jam.
You would think that's the place you could do it.
Yeah, at the Metrodome for Monster Jam? I thought they just handed you a pack as you walked in the door.
What the hell? That is ridiculous. You can't just put your cigarette out? I mean, come on. They had to throw you out? That sucks. P-Man, Josh. You know him?
I know the text. I've never met him in person.
It's the first time
recognize the name.
You do. It's the first time I've recognized P-Man on our text machine. Again, 651-989-9393 if you have a story of getting kicked out of a ball game or a concert. Tell us what you did. And hopefully this Pabst guy gets back to us. I want to know what the hell he did at the Twins game to get kicked out in front of his friggin' in-laws. P-Man kicked out of a Twins playoff game against the Yankees at the old Metrodome. A Yankee fan snatched my Homer hanky, and we got into a shoving match. I like that. He's shoving each other back. Give me back my Homer hanky.
How dare they?
But hindsight being 20/20, I went to a lot of Twins-Yankees playoff games. I almost wish they just would have thrown me out so I didn't have to stay and watch the whole thing, the whole result, because we never won those games.
No, and let me clear this up now because I got so excited I didn't read the end of the text. He was told he was kicked out, but they didn't escort me out. This is P-Man. I went to a different section and enjoyed the rest of the game. Sorry about that shoving match over your Homer hanky. That's too bad.
Boy, the Homer hanky was something. I loved that when I was a kid. That was so cool.
Are you like 90% of Minnesotans who were alive during that time period? Do you still have your Homer hanky?
Yep. Also have the Twins Wheaties box.
Oh, I still got all that crap. Yeah, God.
The newspapers.
Yeah. I hung on to all that crap. Should I just put it in the shredder now? What the hell is? What's that going to be worth?
You remember how exciting that time was?
It was. It was unbelievable. Yeah, me and some pals were just talking, and thank you for your text. We'll get to this. We will. We'll make time for this because I'm so far I've had a lot of fun reading about what you did to get kicked out of a ball game or a concert. It's just hard to read them on the fly, so trust us, we'll get to them. But me and some pals were just talking about a concert from, it's got to be 15 years ago now, where my pals' behavior was such that I feared we were going to be removed from the show. And it was one of those situations where I didn't want a poor reflection on the radio station, and I didn't want a poor reflection upon myself. So the situation was, Josh, were you with us this night? This was the Twisted Christmas concert at what do they call it out there in Maplewood?
The
Myth.
No, I didn't go to that show. You told me about it.
Unbelievable. This was such a big favor that the radio station gave me. When Twisted Sister came to town for their Twisted Christmas show, the radio station gave me an entire suite to myself so I could bring as many pals as I wanted, because the radio station, everyone here knows how much I love Twisted Sister, and frankly, no one else was interested in seeing the show. So I got the whole suite to myself. You know those little suites they have at the Myth? You can fit, 12 people up there. That was just one of the kindest gestures this joint has ever shown me. And so I invited all my old high school bros to join me in this suite for Twisted Sister. And I ended up furious with almost all of them because none of them knew how to friggin' behave. Mm-hmm. They had it in their idea. They had it in their head that we were just above the law on this evening because we had this suite to ourselves. All glass windows and walls in this suite. If you remember, at least that's how it used to be there. There's a cop standing right outside of our suite. He can look in any time. And before the show even started, 5, 6 of my buddies are sitting on those fancy couches there, and they're packing a joint stick and lighting it and passing it back and forth. And I came around the corner. I said, there's a freaking cop right. I said, guys, please don't do anything to ruin this for us. This is a nice favor that I got from work. And so I chewed those guys out. And they all were looking at me like, well, what's this guy's problem? They just, I couldn't believe the behavior. And then later on, it just so happened our suite was butted up next to the spotlight guy. You know, the guy running the spotlight who's pointing it at. One of my buddies is drunk, and he's trying to wrestle the spotlight away from the spotlight guy. I had to pull him aside and say, look, dude, don't do this to me. And the last offense was during intermission. One of my friends is leaning over the side of the suite and trying to start a fight with everyone on the floor. Hey, sissy. Hey, jag off. Yeah, up here, tough guy.
What are you doing?
I didn't. It was just one of those nights where I thought I should have picked better friends, because I thought tomorrow morning when I go to work, the boss is going to pull me aside and say, yeah, you're never getting that opportunity again. Luckily, we were fine, but just the behavior of my friends was ridiculous, and they should have been removed from the show. We had that conversation just a few days ago. I reminded all of them of what pricks they were on that particular evening.
Yeah, it sucks when friends are going to ruin it for everybody else.
They came close to doing that, Cubby. Came very close.
93X
Half-assed morning show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Expert entrepreneur Ed Milet is on a mission to max out your life.
We're throwing open the metaphorical closet doors of our lives. We're going to be cleaning out the closet. What no longer fits? Audit some of your relationships. How about auditing your emotions? Maybe it's your career you need to look at. Get your life together for this season.
The Ed Milet Show.
It's time for a little cleaning of the soul. Let's get a little ruthless, a little refreshing, and a little real. God bless you, everyone.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You know that jerk across the street who's always got it in for me? Every year, that guy waits to see what decorations I put out and then finds a way to top me. I string lights, he strings better lights. I put out Frosty, he puts out an elf village. I put out Dracula, he does nothing, and I look like a jackass.
93X.
Josh, I don't even want to tell you what I was just reading about.
What's popping?
I don't want to tell you.
Well, now I want to know.
I don't want to stress out a future Minnesota Broadcasting Hall of Famer. I was reading all about what they call here unscrupulous tradespeople. And the reason I don't want to tell Cubby about this is you see workers in your home more often than you see family members that actually live there.
That is true. I've got some coming over today.
Unbelievable.
Here's the thing, though. I only hire unscrupulous ones.
Oh, so this is no concern of yours.
No, not at all.
You've got
I seek them out.
Years of experience with...
If I see positive reviews, I'm not interested.
Oh, you see more people with tool belts and ladders and paintbrushes than you see the family members that live in your home as a future Minnesota Broadcasting Hall of Famer.
And that's not true. And if I could, I'd like to, I don't compliment myself very often, but I'm going to here. I called it. Before we moved in, I told my wife, I said, are you sure? This house just seems like there's a lot wrong with it.
Right. You knew.
There was way more.
You had a feeling.
I had a feeling. You got to trust your gut.
That sucks so much.
We are so trapped in that house now, never going to be able to afford to leave.
I've been in my house now for almost 2 years, and I've only ever had to have somebody out once, and I needed a new AC unit, so they weren't really in the house much, and that's about it.
You know why that is?
Why?
Your wife didn't pick the house. Or I'm sorry, my wife didn't pick the house. Had my wife picked the house, it would have been trouble for you. Yeah, we had to get a brand new furnace and air conditioner the third day we were there.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's
It was in
not
January.
right.
They said, "Hey, you got some. What do they call it? Oh, darn it, I know the name of it. I know people. Help me out. 651-989-9393. It's not an air exchanger, but there's something in the furnace. Basically, it was cracked. It's killing me. I know the name for it, and it was leaking out CO2 or whatever that is. And they said, "Hey, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
We have to." Red tag this. We got to alert the city. So day 3 of owning the house had already started.
I like to think the previous owner set up lawn chairs across the street just to watch, as the struggles that you faced almost immediately upon moving in. They're like, look at this sucker. Look at him. Oh, happy moving day. Yeah. They got popcorn going.
Dana, you know that when they sold that house, they thought, oh, you sorry son of a bitch.
I've been over to Cubby's place a few times, and his pickup is the only one in the driveway without a logo on the door. So I love the stories. I've enjoyed your stories over the years.
Heat exchanger. Thank you, brother and sister.
Heat exchange. You and I exchange heat from time to time. You bought a garbage house, and it's killing you, and you've been hemorrhaging money for decades now.
We wanted a fixer-upper, right? But I still thought, gosh, this might be a little too much. And here's another sign. It sat unsold for almost 4 years.
Whoa.
So a lot of people toured it before us and thought, this might be too much of a project.
Hemorrhaging money. So it says here 20% of homeowners. Now, first off, I want to go on record by saying I don't like to say these things out loud because I worship those people.
So do I.
The electricians and the plumbers and the folks on the roof and the folks working on your floor and the walls and this and that. I worship those people because they do the work that I am, number one, not qualified to do, but number two, not interested at all in undertaking. So I need these people. I will always be so thankful that someone went out there and learned a trade. I should have. So I
wish I knew how to do it too. I ask like questions. Sometimes I think, okay, I got to leave these guys alone because I'm so fascinated by what they do, and it's such a skill.
You become obsessive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm going to miss having those guys there.
They'll always be there.
Eastbound at eastbound at sundown. She said your home inspector should face a firing squad. Yeah, I have some. I don't know if we need to go that far, but I'm a little.
Yeah, he mailed it in that day.
But I will say some of that stuff, some of the stuff that's wrong with the house. People, I've had contractors say, you know what? There's no way a home inspector. They don't go through this deep. So and the problem is like something gets fixed, and then they find something else wrong.
I forgot about the home inspector. But you just said a second ago, you said, I'm going to miss those guys. Do you really think there'll be a day where they're not in your home?
Yeah, we're getting there, man. So here's an example.
I hope so.
Shoot, so many texts are coming in. Dang it. I'm sorry. I want to give you credit. Somebody sent in a picture of their deck that is completely falling apart.
Oh, we got a deck pic?
Yeah, we got a deck pic. I love deck pics.
Yeah, me too.
So
I've sent them. I've received them.
The contractor I use now, I met because he came out to take a look at our deck, right? And I've heard this so many times. I hear two things. Did you do this? Because they don't want to insult me because it was done so incorrectly. And I say, no, I wouldn't know how to even screw that up.
Yeah.
And the second is I've never seen this before. I've heard that so many times. So our deck was super wobbly.
Oh.
And I thought it had something to do with they had to remove it to re-stucco the house and put new windows in because we had so much water damage. It was insane. So when they put it back on, they did their best, and I thought, well, that must be it. They had to remove it, put it back on. It's not the same. And so it got so wobbly that we wouldn't even let the dogs out there because when they're bigger dogs and when they'd shake, the whole thing would shake.
Oh, that's so sketchy.
We didn't let people on it for over a year. We didn't let our dogs on it, so they came out, and it had these decorative boxes around the posts.
Sure.
Holding it up. And the guy's like, listen, we're going to rebuild this, but the decorative boxes are kind of expensive. Are you cool with just posts? Of course. Yeah, just use posts. So he called me. He's like, here's the thing. We wanted to save your posts. The only problem is you don't have any. I've never seen it. I had no posts holding that thing up. It was just these decorative boxes.
That's all that was holding that?
That was it. He said he was actually saying it was kind of a marvel of engineering that it never fell over, but he had never seen that before, and he builds decks all summer.
You're lucky you didn't end up being crushed by that damn thing.
One good eye Jesus sent in the deck pics. Thank you for those.
We don't normally accept that kind of thing around here. We can get in trouble for deck pics, but today is special. So here's the statistic that, like I was saying, I don't even want to say out loud because of how much you worker folks mean to me. 20% of homeowners have been boned hard by shady workers running a scam on their ass. Running a scam.
Well, yeah, they talk about storm chasers for sure. I mean, that...
I didn't even consider those people. I was just considering you hire someone, you have them into your home, and then...
Well, yeah, that's exactly that situation. They come out, maybe they do some work. We had an experience like that where the storm chasers were in our neighborhood, and the guy came over and to take a look. He's like, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. Let me just take a look. I'll jump on your roof. I'll look at a couple things. And he started making indents with his thumb and a tool.
You saw him do this?
Yeah. Yeah, to say, hey, I can get you a certain amount of money for that. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I'm not trying to commit insurance fraud here, and I don't want you to damage my house. So I didn't use that guy. I mean, he was obviously a crook.
I've always heard the stories. I've never had one of those folks walk up on me. I've certainly heard about storm chasers and this and that.
Maybe they just left something on your door if you didn't answer. You've never had that? We've had so much.
I get those guys, and then I also get the people that want to spray my yard for bugs.
Okay.
I get at least 10 of those dudes.
Are they on hoverboards or what are those things called? that in Paul
the
Blart
wheels.
Mall Cop.
Yeah.
Segways?
Segways. Are they on Segways?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and it's usually handsome young men.
I took the time last time some guy rolled up on the Segway to ask him about it. It's like, what's the deal with this?
Yeah, they're all cruising around Segways.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever encountered a storm chaser type of a guy. Let me get on your roof and look. Let me look at your siding, that kind of a thing.
There was one time.
I have had the bug inspector. We'll get the bugs away from your house, right?
Yep.
We used one, and it was beautiful.
Really?
It worked. It was legit from top to bottom.
We've got one.
So just saying, they're not all shady bastards.
We like ours. We had a couple of mice infestations, so they came out. They also took care of the bugs. Those guys are great.
I have a hard time agreeing to the bug thing because I'm like, well, I don't know. They're outside. That's where they're supposed to be.
Well,
I don't mind.
that was our problem. They were inside.
Oh,
so we said, sure, we'll give these fools a shot, and they did the trick.
That almost led to my wife didn't tell me that she hired someone to come out, and this was winter when she did, and it almost led to a call to the cops because all of a sudden I noticed there's footprints all around my house, like up, and then they kind of curved towards the doors, towards the windows, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, somebody was trying to break into our house. And my wife hadn't told me she hired somebody. And so I had mentioned it to her because we were supposed to go to this party. But I'm like, well, I don't want to leave in case this person comes back. And she said, oh, no, that was the bug guy. He was out there spraying. So he's spraying the foundation of the house.
You thought you had a peeping Tom.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought because nobody told me there was somebody coming out.
So the old mantra, if that's the word, when it comes to hiring somebody to do this or that at the house, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Look out for scammers. Nowadays, they usually just try to get us over the telephone. But sometimes, they'll come right to your damn door. Oh, man. I hope there is a day, Josh, when you are finally done. No more walls, ceilings,
I think we're there.
Decks.
Yeah.
You think you're getting close.
Because you know how it is when you move into a place and you think, we're going to make this our own. New carpeting, new paint. Well, none of that we've been able to afford yet. It's all fixing crap.
And none of the fun stuff.
The most basic living.
The most recent one is our contractor. We find out the vents aren't attached correctly. He goes up into the attic to try and attach stuff and said, hey, your heating bill's kind of high. I'm like, well, they do seem a little high. And he said, well, it could be because you have no insulation in your attic. None. How does the inspector not catch that one? Anyways.
I hear you. And I forgot about the inspector. Yeah. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with that guy before I moved into the home I'm in now. Very nice guy. Of course, kind of like when we had a conversation here the other day with a new engineer in the building. I didn't understand 90% of what the inspector was telling me, just like I didn't understand 90% of the conversation we had with the new engineer in the building. But
boy, that guy, he talks in a language that most people would never understand.
I didn't understand. So, but back to the home inspector, very nice guy. Of course, there was some that I understood, and I did have certain questions for him. I just wish he would have told me one thing, and maybe I'm asking too much, that he would have been able to give me this information after just inspecting the home for 5-6 hours or however long he was there. I wish he would have told me one thing about my current home. This is the coldest spot in Hennepin County, and possibly the entire state of Minnesota. I live in the coldest home, I'm convinced, at least in the county. He didn't tell me that. I wish he would have. So there you go, Cubby. You haven't had any horror stories, really, where you... I mean, okay, you
Not
thought...
from a contract. Only one from a contractor.
One shady story.
Yeah, and this was our previous house, and it was a hailstorm again. And it was actually right before we closed on the house. There's a really bad hailstorm, and the woman, she picked a contractor, and she moved out. We moved in, and so we're like, okay, whatever. And they had cut off the exhaust on the outside of the house, those two pipes from the furnace, and they sided over it.
Oh, my God.
And I have Apollo out every year to do a tune-up.
That's a good way to wake up Dad.
That's
right
exactly
there.
what they told me.
So this wasn't your choice.
No, it was before. It was right when we were moving in.
Before you guys bought the house, the lady before there had sealed.
The contractor did. He thought it was like a vent from an old vented stove or oven. I mean,
that's frightening.
I know. And they're like, you guys could have died.
So you had the guy come around, you said, that was putting dents in your siding and saying, hey, I can get you some money for this storm damage. But you've never hired anyone where you know for sure, oh, that guy boned me.
No.
Good. Plenty of folks have. And, you feel foolish. You feel like a sucker. But it could happen to anybody. The only one I can think of, I've already told you about a couple of times where we had some younger dudes go into the basement to do some work. They didn't clean up a single thing. That's one of the things you want out of that type of a service. Clean up the mess when you're done, because a lot of that work can be very messy. So that was one problem.
We have had that.
Yeah, certainly. After it was all said and done, I went downstairs and I said, wow, they did a great job, until I looked on the floor and it was just, they just left pieces of shrapnel.
That sucks.
But, okay, whatever. I had to get the vacuum out. The only real complaint from those two young fellers, who did end up doing a good job. They did not clean up, but they ended up doing a good job. I told you before that they brought in their boom box and they were cranking just some awful indie rock or something. I wasn't home at the time. I wasn't home. But the wife had to go halfway down the stairs and go, hey, turn it down for Christ's sake. This isn't your dorm. This isn't a frat house. She's working upstairs. She works from home usually. And they're just pumping some horrible local rock. I didn't mean local like all the local. Like a garage band, like a high school garage band is what they sounded.
Yeah, I'm lucky where I haven't run into that. Or maybe I have been scammed and I have no idea.
Oh, I suppose.
Maybe I paid 3 times as much as...
And the amount of time these projects seem to take for you, Josh, it's almost like they're stalling a little bit.
Well, that's pandemic related, right?
Oh, okay.
Just things take forever to get in and stuff like that. Or that, somebody ships something that gets broken along the way.
That's how it goes. But I'll tell you, again, if it wasn't for you folks, I'd be living in a cardboard box that's leaned up against my parents' home. If it wasn't for you folks who do the wonderful work that you do.
Me too. I love it. And I'm going to miss it when they're not around anymore, because it's been, almost 4 years of somebody in there doing something.
Well, you know what you could do? Okay, so they're not in your home anymore. You could do something that my neighbor does.
What's that?
Anytime a work truck pulls into someone else's driveway or a crew is in a yard, you can leave your home, walk up and say, so what are you guys doing?
Mind if I watch?
What do you got going on? Are you trimming some trees? What are you doing? Some electrical work? What are you doing? Maybe you could just be the neighborhood guy that pops in and asks, hey, what's the project? And then, of course, the workers are forced to tell you what they're doing. You could be that guy.
Oh, we got a couple of those in the neighborhood, certainly. A couple of nosy neighbors.
My dad and a couple of his buddies, before they all passed on, they had some tree trimmers in the neighborhood, and so they pulled their pickup, 3 guys sitting in a pickup, hip to hip, old school pickup with the bench seats. These are retired gentlemen. They got nothing better to do. So they pulled their pickup onto the scene of this massive tree cutting and tree trimming job, and they just sat in the cab of the truck and drank beer, smoked cigarettes, and watched the job happen.
That is fun.
I like watching. I like doing the same thing.
In the last couple of years, I've had 5 trees on my property go down. Horrible mess. One of them landed on top of my brand new shed and popped it like a zit on prom night. Total disaster. Hated it. Part of the reason why I hate trees so much. was that 5 of them decided to tip over onto my friggin' property in the last couple of years. But watching those dudes operate with the crane and the whole works, I had a friggin' crane in my yard. Watching how they operate, I didn't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, normally when I get done with this nightmare, I go home, I eat a meal fit for a 7-year-old, and I go to sleep for a couple hours. I didn't want to sleep on those days because watching what they did was incredible.
A couple summers ago, we had just a ton of rain, and all of a sudden my son comes in and said, Dad, one of the trees is messed up. I'm like, what do you mean? And so he said, though, I look out the window, and it was at like a 45-degree angle. This was a 40-foot tree. So believe it or not, I have a tree guy. I called him up and just said, hey, when you get a chance, can you run out here? I think this, forget about it. It fell as I was watching, and luckily it missed absolutely. It was right next to the house, but it fell perfectly across the yard. So I got lucky, and I know you weren't so lucky.
Oh, it was terrible, man. It was terrible. So happy that, there's folks out there who could swing by with a crane and clean that mess up. The one time I was on the phone with a buddy, and I heard like this, and it was so deep, like a real bassy sound, that I couldn't tell where it came from. And I said to my buddy on the phone, I said, was that on your end? And he said, I didn't hear anything. And I said, you didn't hear that, like, deep thud? And he said, no. So I kind of was walking around the house with the phone up to my face. I look out the window, tree down in my front yard. Great. I got to call you back. Sucked.
Gosh, you hate trees.
Oh, I
so
hate
much.
trees.
I like trees.
Oh, no.
I mean, raking kind of sucks, but luckily we don't have a lot of leaf-bearing trees.
I like raking.
Raking sucks.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Trees suck. Shade sucks. What's your guy again, Lindahl?
Yes.
Tell Chris Lindahl, when this is over, meaning our radio careers, I want him to find me a house. I want him to find me a house where there isn't a tree within, I'd like 5 miles of leeway between me and the nearest tree.
Well, make sure you take his advice if he suggests maybe this isn't the house for you. If your wife argues or says, well, you know what, I think this is the one, make sure you listen to what he says.
I will.
Because I didn't one time, and let me tell you, I got a couple stories.
I'll certainly have you in mind.
Now, this wasn't an unscrupulous tradesman by any means, but I did recently. I told you I had a swimming pool all of a sudden in our dining room, which, by the way, we've never used. And it was a plumber. There was some sort of bad weld, and I'm sure it could happen to anybody. So that's not unscrupulous, but that's like the only real horror story outside of the crew that tried to kill us by cutting off our exhaust pipes. That's about it. You haven't had anything else other than kind of messy, right? Nothing bad?
Oh, the water in the basement.
Well, I mean, like for a tradesperson kind of made a mistake.
No, not like you said earlier, not as far as I know. When the dude says, hey, I'm going to dump a couple 1,000 pounds worth of insulation into your attic here, okay? And I go, okay. And then I take a nap, right? I'm not watching it. He might have just went up there and smoked some pot. I don't know.
That's a good point. I wonder if the guys I hired to insulate, if they put anything up there.
Yeah, am I going to go up there and check? Hell no. But when the guy came down, I woke up from my nap, he came down from the attic. He was filthy. That was enough evidence for me to assume that he did the job. But maybe he just went up there and rubbed one out and smoked some grass. I don't know.
Just jerking off in the attic.
Yeah.
I do know a guy who, when he was working for his dad owned a company. He was a contractor. He did masturbate in an empty house. My buddy did.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
When he was a teenager.
No.
The house was empty, Ashley.
No, don't do that.
He worked for a builder that built new homes, so nobody was living there yet, but somebody moved into a house that had previously been masturbated in.
Pre-masturbated
And they'll never know.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
On 93X.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Inside the opening 45 seconds. What a goal! Jack McGlynn with that cannon of a left foot.
Never miss a game.
What a start for the United States.
Shot for distance. What a goal!
Never miss a moment.
Exquisite from the San Diegan. Can he finish? Yes, he can. Yeah!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This is a movie where zombies infect people with their diarrhea.
We made a dark satire about medical disinformation, and I don't want that to get lost.
No, it's true. It's a very deep and complex film, but I want that diarrhea explosion. This is a hill I will die on. We are getting that explosion.
93X.
Half-assed morning show.
Cubby, you know me, and you know that I do have an appreciation for a good scam. There are limits, but I have an appreciation for a good scam. And we're going to begin today's Stupid News Report with a keeper. It sounds familiar to me. I think we've covered this nonsense the last time it was being slung around the internet. This scam is extra special because not only does it make the scammer a hell of a lot of monies, which is the key to any good scam, this one is extra special because it's also wildly perverted. Really sick, twisted, perverted stuff. It's something called an orgasm retreat where women's will be taught how to orgasm. All right?
You've changed, man.
Talk to me.
I remember a time when you didn't believe a female orgasm was real.
Yeah.
You've been convinced now at this point?
Yeah, but still, there's no way you're going to convince me that the don't tell me the word, I can't think of the word is, the environment. What's the word?
There is no such thing as an environment.
Environment. Yeah. I don't believe in the environment.
There is not an environment.
Everyone's always telling me that the environment is in trouble. I don't believe it's a real thing.
There is not an environment.
All right, an orgasm retreat. Of course, this idea comes from California. Ladies in our listening audience, all the organizers of this orgasm retreat want in trade is $15,000 of your hard-earned money. So gals.
Oh my gosh.
Gals, you could hand these hippies 15 grand so you can sit in a circle and play with yourself in front of a gang of 70-year-old women, or you can touch yourself at home for free while you watch old Patrick Swayze movies. Which way are you going to go?
I wonder if I really had difficulty there, and I kind of go the opposite way, to be honest with you.
You orgasm too easily?
A little too easily. I wonder if I'd get desperate enough where I would pay, $15,000. Okay, that's outrageous. But if I'd spend some serious, embarrassing money on it, if I just couldn't, and I really thought I could learn how.
I think, Josh, knowing you, I think if you just absolutely could not orgasm and you were at a point in your life where you still cared to, there is a point where you don't anymore.
Yeah.
I believe you would spend some money. I don't believe that you would spend this kind of money. I think you'd make an effort, but you'd be reasonable with it.
I guess maybe if I ever reach a point where a Patrick Swayze movie is no longer doing it for me,
right,
maybe I will shell out a couple of bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to spend $15,000. You just give me a $15 B-Dubs gift card. I'll show you a couple things.
I'd imagine.
It's really not that hard. I feel so bad for these women.
$15,000. Now, you've heard this kind of deep spiritual jibber-jabber before. The organizers of this orgasm retreat come off with lots of talk about connecting to your body accessing your own erotic. I didn't mean to. I think I came off by saying neurotic. They talk about accessing your own erotic energy.
I've heard it's far more mental for women
Yeah.
than it is for gentlemen.
Absolutely. They're going to go on this retreat, and it's not going to happen anyway because they're putting too much pressure on it.
Oh, good call. Yeah, because I know a friend of mine, his wife is does not quite have the same libido she did when they first got married. But when they go on vacation and can relax and the kids aren't around and she's not worried about work, he said she becomes the woman that he married.
The woman of his dreams.
Yeah.
All right. Vacation sex is a little bit different than home sex, for sure.
Ladies, if you sign up for this Jill-off getaway, expect to miss some work. They'll keep you out in the woods for a smooth week.
Oh, my gosh.
Here's the part where it's difficult to believe they can get away with this. It says here, during the retreat, the so-called sex educators use toys, tools, and their gloved hands to, quote, help women reconnect with their bodies and sexuality.
That's
otherwise
so
known
weird.
as penetration, is I think is what they're...
Yeah.
Gloved hand.
Don't some folks go to jail for this type of thing?
Yep.
Well, if you don't charge money for it, you might, right? Or if that's $15,000, they're paying for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
If I pay $15,000, take that glove off.
Yeah.
I don't want that glove on.
Take that glove off and dip it in that bucket of petroleum jelly.
That just reminds me of going to the doctor. That's awful.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm the last guy that's going to call the cops on these folks. If you want to make a daisy chain out in the woods, hell, good for you. I'm just fascinated how they can get away with this. Lord have mercy, listen to this. This sounds like a porno movie. At a past orgasm retreat, Ashley, close your eyes and picture this. All of us should close our eyes and picture this. At a past orgasm retreat, a 60-year-old gal...
Nope, I'm done.
Ageist.
My mom is that age. I thought of my mom right away, and I didn't like that.
CFH bass player Jesus has just texted in to say, the female orgasm, nature's Rubik's Cube. Ashley, see if you can get through this now.
Okay.
At a past orgasm, you've already left, but that's okay. Just chill out and hang out with the rest.
Come back.
At a past orgasm retreat, a 60-year-old gal who...
out. Oh, sorry.
Well, I've lost two of you now?
I didn't mean that. I forgot how old I am. I'm fine with that.
Who said she was, quote, sexually dormant after years of a sexless marriage.
I like how she phrased that.
She laid herself out on a massage table, and she was, quote, guided to a climax in front of the other women who were each waiting their turn.
This is like every masseuse porno that's out there.
Yes, it is. It is. The masseuse porno movies, this is how they all play out.
Yes, I didn't know they were based on real events.
So
wow.
These masseuse porno movies.
Yeah.
I can imagine what happens.
You can predict just about everything.
Is it something where the person getting which way does it go? Who's getting massaged, guy, girl, or does it vary?
Well, the ones that are the most popular, without question, is when the hot female goes to see the hot female masseuse.
Oh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, there's no men anywhere near the hot masseuse porn. Yeah.
Is it a surprise for the person on the table? Or
yeah.
It is?
Yep, they claim that.
And the masseuse usually says something like, look, I don't try this on everybody, but...
And then the one on the table's like, I don't know if we should be doing this. I don't know if I like it.
And then a third scorching hot female
they bring
walks
in. A third?
Yes, and she says, I have a 9:15 appointment. What's taking so long? And then she gets, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. By the end, they need a mop.
Man.
Yeah.
You guys are living. 2 girls, huh?
Sometimes 3, 4.
Nice. And they filmed this. Thank God there's a camera in there.
Right.
Someone left their camera on. Another extra. I told you that we were probably only going to get through a couple of stupid news stories here. Another exercise involved is called the Art of Adoration. And the women's are instructed to dress in something that makes them feel beautiful.
Well, a couple of the pictures I saw, these are sexy ladies. And maybe those are the ones they put on the brochure. Oh, your face disagrees?
Well, I didn't see the same pictures you did, but I'm thinking that might have been doctored up.
Could be, yeah. I mean, those are the ones they put on the brochure, right?
I mean, when you see an ad for a touristy spot, come to Disneyland. I'll just use them as an example. What do they show in the ad? Just the happiest, most adorable, clean-cut families of all time skipping around the Disneyland property.
Mom, Dad, one boy, one girl.
Right. And they're gorgeous.
Of course.
When you really go there, it's a pack of derelicts, barely dressed, uglier than a bag full of...
Well, what do you think? This is what I was talking about. She does something for me.
She looks like a pretty lady.
Yeah.
I don't like the hat.
She has a terrible hat.
You got to wear a hat at orgasm camp, okay, Ashley? That's one of the rules.
You got to wear, but Ashley says,
I didn't even look that high.
We all know that you should wear a hat at an orgasm retreat. All Ashley's saying is wear the right hat.
If you look on their Instagram, that lady is all over the Instagram.
She might be one of the instructors.
Yeah, she run the joint?
There's this weird photo of her. You got to see this.
She's the one who puts that glove on her hand and burp. What am I looking?
She's like hiding behind a rock.
She's half naked hiding behind a rock. It looks like she's taking a piss in the woods.
What is that?
We're not even going to get through 2 stupid news stories.
This is fascinating.
This is good.
$15,000.
Again, this exercise I was telling you about, the art of adoration. The women are instructed to dress in something that makes them feel beautiful. And then they say, the instructors tell them, just lay down on the floor over here. And then the instructors say, let's just put this blindfold on you. And then they turn on some hippie music, and the sex educators touch their thighs and play with their hair, or graze their skin with various textures, like fur. Fur.
That's a nice feeling.
It is.
For those about to orgasm.
Yeah.
Never worn or touched fur outside of petting a dog or cat.
There was a movie called 40 Days, 40 Nights where Josh Hartnett gives a woman an orgasm just by using a feather.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Must have been one hell of a feather.
Here's another quote. I don't know why I said another.
From a cockatoo?
A cockatoo?
What kind of feather was it?
Oh, I don't know exactly.
Doesn't matter.
It's been years.
I thought maybe you were assuming I had a quote from a cockatoo. Here's a
Think
quote.
of a dirty bird name for that.
This is a lady who traded $15,000 to be molested in the woods. And she said this. And by the way, you have to drink every time she says sports car. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Drink every time she says sports car. The gal said, it's like you've been walking around in this incredible sports car. Now, first off, let's dissect that statement. It's like you've been walking around inside this incredible sports car.
Yeah, sports cars are usually quite small.
Right. Okay. It's like you've been walking around in this incredible sports car that no one has driven correctly. And then suddenly, someone knows how to drive your sports car. And you realize that the sports car that the world has told you is too small or too big or too fat or too hairy or not enough was actually the perfect sports car all along.
It's beautiful.
Orgasm retreat, huh? You got it. That'll be $15,000.
That's just insane. Just look up a video on YouTube. Buy some toys.
I'd get kicked out for stupid jokes. Like after everyone left, I'd say, hey, thanks for coming, or I hope you're glad you came.
Son of a bitch.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.